back to the Real Business Roundtable. Thank you so much for joining us. You know what? I'm gonna have you do the opening, but I want to do a challenge for you.
What?
Try not to sound like you're doing a sales pitch.
I was born to sell. It's in my blood. It's just the way I am.
Yeah.
Remember the time we were in a meeting and I was talking, and they were like, "You don't need to sell me," and you just looked at them and you're like, "That's how he talks."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I am.
So I want you to try to open this up like, chill, bro. Like, relax.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about outbound versus inbound.
Wait. You didn't say welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back. Welcome to the Real Business Roundtable. I know. Welcome back to the Real Business Roundtable. Today, I want you to open up, but I want you to try not to sound like you're selling. I want you to sound like, just relaxed, just like chill. You know what I mean? You hear what I said?
Yeah, we're chilling.
All right.
So today we're going to talk about outbound versus inbound sales and marketing tactics.
Yeah.
When is it okay to go into the outbound realm? Because in today's digital age, everyone's stuck on inbound. Inbound is great. It's nice as a foundation, but it isn't the whole game. You need to have an omni-channel approach where it's both outbound and inbound to have a balance. Because I guarantee the folks that are all inbound, there's a section of the market share that you're not getting, you're not capturing, because you're focusing on just kicking back, waiting for those leads to come in. That's fine and dandy, but there are people who ignore your ads. There are people who do not respond to ads. There are people who do not respond to retargeting or database targeting. So say you get a list of people that showed an interest in something and you bought some, shitty list somewhere of some old data and you run ads against that data. There's a portion of that market that's not responding.
And I think everyone knows.
They tune it out. They tune it out. So today we want to talk about outbound versus inbound sales and marketing tactics, when it's appropriate for each one.
Yeah. Most of my efforts are all outbound. All of my efforts are outbound. There's rarely, sometimes I'll do inbound, but
Yeah, and I'll forward some of the inbounds too. So us as an organization, as growth consultants, when we're trying to find people that want our services, and this can apply to any business, construction, auto sales, you name it, there are going to be outbound and inbound opportunities. When you set up an infrastructure for inbound, that is having a proper social media presence, having a proper organic search placement, having a proper and a variety of content that's engaging, that's going to capture someone's attention, that's going to get them to do something that you want them to do, hopefully call you or email you. That is an inbound lead. But believe it or not, there are personalities out there that they don't resonate with ads. They don't like ads. They'll skip the ad on Google and go down to an organic result because they feel like that is the better result that's not trying to sell them. Go ahead.
No, you go.
For a section of the market that tends to ignore those things and they think they're fine, they're good, they're comfortable, those are the people that you need to provide or execute outbound marketing and sales tactics towards. So what do I mean by outbound? I'm talking about cold emails, a friendly, not a mass email, a friendly, directly written email citing something about you, something that you know about their organization that needs improvement, a friendly introduction, and then a call to action for them to schedule a call, schedule a face-to-face meeting, or get in touch somehow. The second is a cold call. You want to find out who the perfect prospect is for your line of business. And as long as it's accepted in your industry, especially B2B, you want to reach out to them, friendly introduction, and try to capture their interest by generating demand. Let them know what problem you're going to solve right away and capture their interest to a level where they want to meet with you in person or over a video chat. And then lastly, which is sometimes the most effective, is if you know somebody is a great prospect and a great fit for you and you can bring a lot of value to the table, knock on their door. Do it very respectfully. And if you come by there, ask for the right person, shake someone's hand, look them in the eye. Not a lot of people are doing that, so it will separate you from the bunch because we live in a digital world where everybody's doing everything digital. It doesn't hurt to shake someone's hand.
Not at
Swing
all.
by real quick. If you're in the area anyway, you drive by and you see a company that you'd love to work with, come by. Make sure you're wearing company branded attire so you're respected at the door. You're not some crazy guy wandering in, and introduce yourself to the right person. Countless times we've made great connections knocking on doors.
Oh, 100%.
So whatever your product or service is, when you want to identify those customers and you want to capture as much market share as possible, don't be afraid to cold call, send out a cold email, an introductory email, and to knock on somebody's door.
Yeah. What I think from my, I think that inbound marketing, right? I think that inbound or running ads for people is more for exposure.
Sure, but it's great for generating leads.
No,
We're talking about a portion of the market that does not respond to that.
Yeah. So like I was saying, so I think, marketing is great for exposure, which you will see some return from that. You will, there, like you said, there's going to be people who do engage with it and there's going to be people who don't engage with it, people who resonate, people who don't. And because of that, I think that ads should purely in this situation be looked at as exposure, in my opinion. And then outbound, walking and doing sales calls, doing their outreach should be for the close the deal. I think that, marketing your service or product can be a great way to understand someone's level of interest in a product.
Mm-hmm.
The information you get, you can gauge that information to leverage, to have an understanding of where that person is in the buying process.
Sure.
Because they're going to engage in an extent, and people who do engage are going to be interested to an extent.
Yeah.
People who don't engage, there's still probably some interest there. But I think personally for outbound, calls and emails and walking in, you get a much better grasp and you can control the conversation and the process a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But
as long as you're great with people, which I'm good with people, I can connect with them. The second they see you and they feel your energy, they're like, oh wow, these guys are different. That's a big thing, is you want to be different. So if you're doing outbound stuff, make your email a little bit different, make your subject a little bit different. Don't be overly salesy. Just position it like, I got something that can really help you. You might want to take a look at this. You won't be disappointed. If that's your vibe, people are going to say, you're going to raise curiosity. If you're like, hello, sir, we're the leading manufacturer of this, blah, 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 they're going to tune you out. You got to sound
sales
different.
fluff. Yeah.
You got to sound different, especially if you're doing outbound and inbound. Even on your ads got to be different. Your ad copy has to capture interest. You got to capture some type of need or want that they have. That's something built around solving a problem. Like, oh, wow, I saw this ad and it mentions that I could save 6 hours of labor time by using this software. Oh, wow. Now you got my interest. Let's look further into this.
Yeah.
But you don't want to lead with platitudes.
Lead with benefits.
Yeah. Same thing with outbound marketing, whether it's a cold call, an email, or a door knock. You got to make sure in those first 5-10 seconds that you're capturing their attention and you're clearly explaining what you're going to provide them when it comes to value.
Yeah. You always want to lead with the solution to the pain point. It's funny that we bring this up. You always talk about running ads and the best way to run ads, and sometimes
that's all inbound.
Sometimes I disagree with the way that the content on the advertising that you say is best practice. Sometimes I disagree.
Well, there are regulations on Facebook ads where you can't have too much text, or there is a guideline on Facebook ads, even Instagram ads, that you can't, if your ad won't get approved if it's any old way that you want to create it. So we do have to abide by their rules.
Sometimes, you'll I know you follow this rule where it's ask a question.
That's referred to as direct response. You interrupt, you inform, and then you invite.
Yeah. So
the three magical I's. Remember that.
Inform and invite. And there's so many different ways you can do this, but one way that you always say to structure an ad is always interrupt by asking a question.
Yeah.
I don't. So that can work 100%. That does work a lot of the time. But
That's advertising 101, man.
no, I understand that. But advertising 101, a lot of people follow that. A lot of people follow
it's
that,
direct
and
response.
sometimes so many people follow that it gets saturated and people ignore it. You know, if I personally,
there are a section, there is a portion of people that won't respond to like a direct response type of ad, but that's when you pull up your pants, move into outbound. That's when you're like, okay, a section of the market's not responding. I need to email them, call them, and knock on their door.
So personally, and the reason why I don't agree with it is because, whenever you're creating an ad, and I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic, but, this will help out people trying to create content that will really engage. And this is a way to weed out people who aren't, very interested. But me personally, when I see an advertisement that says, I'm in the generation where my
Attention span.
is very short, and I don't mind that. I can kind of control it, but when I see an advertisement that says like, oh, like, are you struggling with this, or you have this issue, or do you this and that, I usually weed those out. Me personally,
But
I like running
how are you going to relate with that ad if it's not asking you a question? Like, you're going to relate to it. How are you going to relate?
Ready?
Unless it's a brand-driven ad and it's showing someone experiencing the outcome of that product or service, that's different.
But
That's a brand-driven
yes, but
ad.
but so me personally, okay, give me something that I'm advertising.
Soap.
Instead of saying
Soap.
are you having an issue with artificial whatever, or like, instead of saying that, let's say we're pushing like a natural soap, and then on the bottom it says something like no additives, no aluminum, no this, no that.
What problem are you solving though?
People who are looking for natural soap. It's just, that's a really bad example. This is good.
So there are different forms of advertising, and some forms of advertising perform better than others. And when you highlight like solving a problem, and you ask someone something like, tired of dealing with artificial fragrances and chemicals in your soap, or worried about the chemicals in your toiletries, worried about the chemicals in your soap, ? Here at XYZ Natural Soap, we offer a wide variety of health-conscious solutions when it comes to putting soap on your body. Worry less. To learn more, call, click, or visit today. That's a basic structure of an ad. Interrupt, inform, invite.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work. Here, let's get back to it because that can be for another day,
another day of something to.
That can be another topic.
To change a standard in advertising.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. It's a standard.
I will agree that there are
standard.
different forms of advertising. Then you have the brand-driven type of advertising. That's more, for example, like showing someone in the shower with the soap, like happy like that. Like, oh my God, what about this soap is making him or her so happy? Oh, it says chemical free. It's natural. That's a brand-driven ad.
Yeah, no. So
they're experiencing.
There's so many different advertising. There's so many different ways you can do it, but
yeah, there's multiple. Strategies.
You're
talking about a very
standard,
straightforward ad style, which is fine. But back to the topic, we were talking about outbound versus inbound. So this would be all inbound advertising. So you're running ads in hopes to get inbound leads, calls, purchases, whatnot, and you can take different approaches to it. I prefer the direct response model, especially if you're trying to get someone to buy. But there are different models, like Jake is mentioning, that you could try some split A/B testing. That's when you run two different types of ads and you measure the performance. And you could try it at home and figure out which one's better for your product or service, either direct response, more of like a general ad, or more of a brand-driven ad. Remember, brand-driven is showing a graphic of what the outcome is to use the product or service. Someone smiling, someone happy, someone satisfied, someone with their arms up. Like, yeah, that would raise curiosity. Like, what the hell is this guy so happy about? Oh, he has chemical-free soap. He doesn't have to worry about his endocrine system. Yeah. So the first outbound strategy that you should be engaging in is cold emails. Your cold emails should be very short. It should be very natural. It should be very personal towards the person that you're emailing.
Mass emails aren't the best. A lot of people use mass emails, and they may be good in certain situations, but in this situation, they are not the best. Personal emails feel a lot better to the recipient.
Yeah, you want to find out who the decision maker is. You want to connect with them on LinkedIn, and you want to be very careful on how you take the next step. You probably want to like a couple of their posts, engage, comment, and then send an email and say, post on LinkedIn. And they'll say, oh, in the subject line, and say, hey, I really like this. I can relate to it. Not sure if this is something in your wheelhouse. Are you the right guy to talk to or whatnot? We have something that might be worthwhile taking a look at.
Yeah.
And if they respond, then you just have a conversation with them. And then you follow up with a phone call, and then eventually try to get a meeting that's face-to-face, preferably. Or if they're far away, you do a Zoom call
or whatever. So when you're sending out this email, don't go for the sale right off the bat. Go for the relationship. Because people are more likely to respond to that based off of a ton of different statistics. People are more apt to respond to something relatable, a relationship, rather than you saying, oh, I have this amazing thing that can help you with this and that and this and that. And it's like, it's just, it's just sales fluff that you don't need. Also, the other thing is, when you are utilizing email that aggressively, when you're sending out emails, which you should be, probably like 50 times a day if you're in, the sales position, they're very simple. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mass email, but you can structure all of them very similarly when you're trying to, portray it, when you're trying to send a message, when you're, you have that one goal in mind, but you're going for that relationship. Maybe, you've sent out 50 different emails, different formats, 10 of them work. Use those formats and just change it up to be customized to that specific person. Take the extra time to make sure it's customized to that person, and always go in with the mindset to get the relationship and not the sale, because more likely you'll get the sale out of the relationship. But also, when you're sending out emails, have an add-on or an extension of your email that allows you to see their engagement with the email. That insight is going to help you out so much. Take it, I've done it firsthand. Where I will take, a couple hours out of the day, and I'll send out 100 emails, and I'll do exactly what I said. I'll find out the ones that work, and the way that I find out what works best through trial and error is, being able to see their engagement on the email, see if they open it, see what attachments they opened it, see if they forwarded it. And these are all extensions that you can get online. Go on Google and search up, email tracking extension, email tracking engage add-on, or whatever it may be. Do your research, find out which ones work best with what you're trying to do, and I guarantee you that's going to help you out exponentially. So that's the email aspect.
Yeah, and then the next level is the portion of the market that you're trying to penetrate. You put together that list. You have a qualified biz dev, business development person to reach out to them. If you're doing the calling directly, keep it very short and sweet. Explain what you're going to provide them or the problem you're going to solve in the first couple seconds on the phone. You get them on the phone, you say hi, and you just, want to keep it real casual sounding. Don't sound like a cookie cutter sales guy, and just say, hey, wanted to chat with you about helping you guys save 30% on your overhead related to this section of your business. That's going to spark somebody's interest. When you lead with that need and that want and that value right away, you have their attention. Leave the high, I'm Susie Q and I'm from blah, blah, blah. Leave that on the table. Sound different. Talk with a lower tone. Sound confident.
Ready? Here's another thing when you're making calls. Try your best, due diligence when it comes to reaching out to people. Know the person that you're reaching out to. And there's,
check out their social media.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things that you can do. But the best thing that I've found that helps when I'm doing outbound calls, especially a cold call, is, find out about that person, have a good understanding of where they're at, what they do, what they enjoy, how to be relatable with them. And then if you have access to their direct number, their cell phone number, text them before you call. Say, it's Jake. In this circumstance, I text, it's Jake. And then when you call, it won't say a random number, which a lot of people don't answer in certain situations. But in a situation where normally the just the number, no name or anything will be weeded out, text them on their direct line and say it's Jake, and then give them a call. And on iPhone, it'll say maybe your name. It'll say maybe Jake because you texted them and you said your name was Jake in their text message. So it'll show up as maybe this, and they're more likely to answer because it's they see a name rather than a number. That helps out a lot with calls, 100%. And then also, what works out really well for me when I'm making calls is I'll say, I've been meaning to reach out to you for a while.
Yes.
I only have a couple minutes.
Yes.
I've been meaning to get in touch with you. I'm glad I finally got you on the phone. I have this amazing opportunity. This is what it is, the pain point, what you just said. And then say, next week, I'm going to be in the area. Could I swing by, for 10, 15 minutes? This is not always going to work out, but most likely they're going to say when they're going to be around, and take that as an opportunity to go in and introduce yourself. It may not be the first meeting, but if you're a good salesperson and you can get in there and you can get in front of them and you can introduce yourself, that is going to help out a lot. And if you get in there, maybe you can't set up maybe in the past you haven't been able to set up a meeting over the phone with them because they're really busy or they're always in meetings. If you just stop in and you wait there 10 minutes and you get in front of them and you talk to them, and they like you because you're a good salesperson, they're going to be likely to set up a meeting with you. Hey, tomorrow I'm gonna have an hour here. Do you have time then? Yeah. I'm interested in what you have to say. They're gonna see that persistence. They're gonna see that you have passion in what you do, as long as you portray it the right way.
Yeah. And another thing to keep in mind is when you're calling people, use the keyword, and this will subtly show respect for their busy schedule. Do you see any times that you could squeeze me in for 15, 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. That says, in other words, I know that you're really busy. Could you squeeze me in? You'll be very happy with what you see in here. And then get them to open up their calendar.
You won't regret it.
You won't regret it. Most people don't regret it.
Yeah. Also, when you say the times, sometimes I'll say like a weird number. Like, and this actually, it works out because people are like, oh, will it only take that long? Like I'll say like, instead of 10 to 15 minutes, I'll say 12 to 17 minutes. And usually they're like, oh, will it take 12 to 17 minutes? And I'm like, yes, I timed it. It's going to take 12 to 17 minutes. When I did this in the past, they signed up with us after this amount of time or whatever.
Yeah, but they'll become engaged and they'll meet,
like weird,
they'll meet with you longer. I've had people who were supposed to meet with me for 15 minutes, and it's an hour and a half meeting.
Yeah,
and they're
always
thrilled, and they're like, wow, can I talk to some references? And they're all excited. And
yeah, almost every time if I'm I'll be like, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, that 12 minutes is up or something like that. But now if you're able to, if you say like, oh, 12 to 17 minutes, and it's funny to them, they're like, oh, 12, that's weird. Like, why would they say that? And they get into a meeting, like 80% of the time, it's going to go a lot longer than that.
Yeah. So first we were talking about email, cold emails. Second, we're talking about calls. Third, and this is the one where we get to see people, see their eyes. We meet them in person, is when you literally knock on the door and you introduce yourself. Be very respectful because you're coming in unannounced. But unfortunately, the people that you're trying to get into, maybe they're not being receptive to email. Maybe they're not being receptive to phone. Maybe all your inbound marketing tactics on search and social are just not capturing that customer. Then you actually knock on the door. Be very respectful. They may not be able to meet with you right then and there, but at least you can exchange business cards, make an impact, and schedule a follow-up.
This is probably my favorite way of outbound sales because it's tough, but if you do it right, then it can be extremely beneficial. Some of the biggest accounts that we work with come from walk-ins, and it's very interesting. As long as you like I'm trying to think of like it's just comes so natural. Like
And your appearance is very important. You don't.
Yes.
You want to come in with branded company attire, polo, button-down shirt. You got to have your company logo on you. You don't have to have a cheesy lanyard. That's just, I don't like that. But you need to come in dressed to win, have company attire on, be very respectful of you basically walking in unannounced. But usually they're receptive to it. There are going to be negative people out there.
100%.
Don't
There
let it
always
get
is.
to you, because you're there to help them. And the minute that they find out who you are and what you do and what you've done for some of their, they say, similar, competitors in other states, they're going to want to talk to you. So don't be afraid to knock on the door.
yeah.
Also, build up some confidence.
Mm-hmm.
If you're confident in your product or service, just make a quick intro. Now, when you do a walk-in or a door knock, three things can happen. They can throw you out. They can talk to you for a minute. You make an introduction, you exchange business cards, and then you get back to them for an actual set meeting. Or third, they meet you right then and there, and you knock out a quick 1 hour or 30-minute meeting. Bang, you made an impact. Now they're super interested, and they'll say, wow, I wish I knew about you guys earlier.
Yeah. No,
That's happened so many times.
when you're walking in, it's difficult. There's it could go so poorly, but at the same time too, like no matter what, in any circumstance, you walk in, you introduce yourself. You always got to come in. I was in the area. I would be annoyed at myself if I didn't take the opportunity to come in and introduce myself. And then it has to be a very subtle. It has to be very subtle, but you gotta kick off the conversation with creating urgency. In a sense, it has to be very subtle, but if you do it the right way, they're like, their interest spikes. Also, to portray confidence is talk with your hands, talk with your body. It shows that you're passionate. It shows that you're confident. It shows that it intrigues them quite a bit. Walk-ins are very powerful, as long as you do them right. And, from our experience through trial and error, through, being thrown out, saying we're too aggressive, saying we're not aggressive enough. We've been through this enough times that the things that we're saying are very effective.
Yeah. And the thing to keep in mind is that you're just trying to get the most juice out of the squeeze by capturing a portion of the market that's not receptive to your inbound strategy. Your inbound should be the foundation. In this day and age, you got to have inbound set up. Search, social, multimedia content, proper landing pages, understanding buyer personas, catering that content to those specific buyer personas, running paid media on search and social, retargeting, using the right data, using AI. I can keep going. That's your foundation of inbound. But to get the most and capture the most market share, there are people who are not going to be receptive to any type of inbound. And that's where you need to the bull by the horns and send out that cold email to make that cold phone call and to knock on their door.
Yeah.
You try adding some outbound with your inbound. It's a nice balanced omni-channel approach, and I can pretty much guarantee that you'll be super happy with the results.
Thank you so much for joining us again on this episode of Real Business Roundtable. Like I always say, if you found value or if you just enjoyed watching us and listening to us, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. All the engagement, we love it. All the support, we really do love it. Please follow us on Instagram. We post clips, we post information, updates, all that sort of stuff. Like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you get notified every time we post a new video and you never miss a new video. That's it. Peace.